again, viewers. Lisa, Connecticut Garden Gal. We're going to look inside the Indian blue worms. Just a reminder, I received these worms on June 16th of this year. So exactly 4 months I've had them. And when they first arrived, well, I wasn't impressed with the quality. They were full of mites, and they weren't the good mites. I sent them off to Arbico Organics, who did a testing for me and found several types of mites. Some were good, but most of them were what they call worm predators, so not the friendly mites. And in the corner there, you see a little hosta plant sticking up. It's something that had fallen on it. The plant itself was in a little pot, and it fell off the side of my deck and got stomped on by the dogs, and it died. So I thought, what better to bring it back to life than to plant the roots directly in castings? And sure enough, it's grown. So I've had these for 4 months now, and I started with, I could look back on the other video, I believe it was about 100 worms. The way I bought them, someone on eBay was selling them in, they were called sample kits, which I found strange, but at the time it was the only source I could find. I've later found other sellers, but so I started off with 2 sample kits, and I'm gonna say there was around 100 worms. I didn't count them, but they didn't weigh very much, and I made the mistake of dumping them out, but without really inspecting them first, to not catch all the mites, or I don't know what I would have done differently actually, but it wasn't a good thing. So I'm going to peel this back. Okay, so let me explain. The first thing you see here, there's a prescription pill bottle upside down, and next to it is a turned over mango shell. The reason for that is, or should be, my daughter found a red-backed salamander, showed it to my grandson, who absolutely wanted to keep it as a pet. Well, salamanders dine on worms. That is their preferred food. And this is a little teeny salamander, so I thought, well, what harm can it do in here? And really, it can't possibly put a dent. So I put this little mango, well, it was a whole mango at one point. All that's left is the shell, to put it as a little hideout hut. And then my daughter said, well, it needs a little pool to drink from. So we added this, and there should be a little water in there. Oh, it's dried out now. There should have been water in there, but little salamander, should be under here. Oh, there it is. It's still here. It has been in here for months. It's a little guy. It's really cute though. So I don't mind Sally living in here. Sally, you got to come out because I'm doing a video. Sally can get quick. Sally is quick. We had found 2 originally. We had Sally and Salamander. One disappeared. I don't know. I think it jumped out. I don't think that its ending was good. This one has been in here since around June. So let me go ahead and just pull him out and put him somewhere. Say hi, Sally. Sally's going to be camera shy right now. Let me pull him out. Let me pause the video and put him somewhere safe. Okay, I've placed Salamander in a temporary spot for now. So just looking at the top of the bin, I see a bunch of sprouts. There's always sprouts in every worm bin, isn't there? And these are definitely green beans and cucumber, because I threw in some frozen green beans from my garden and frozen cucumbers, and freezing definitely doesn't kill off the seeds, so they'll always grow. The top layer looks really good. I can see 1 casting, I always make that mistake. 1 cocoon, 2, 3 cocoons, and over here I see 4, 5. That's just from a quick glance. I could do a close count, but no need to. So obviously they're reproducing. And I cannot remember the last feeding I did on this bin, but I believe it was a banana. I even see, I'm looking at the bubble wrap here. You can see cocoons right even stuck to the bubble wrap. What I've found is that these Indian blue worms multiply faster than any worm I've ever had. They have probably quadrupled, or whatever the word is for 5 times, in the period of time I've had them, which is June, July, August, 4 months. I think I have 5 times the quantity I had. Every time I go in here, there are just mounds of cocoons and babies. So these have really impressed me. I wasn't sure what to expect. I was told they're a flighty worm. I have not had that happen. I was told they were finicky. I haven't had any problems with them being finicky. And I'm actually wanting to harvest these castings. So you're going to see very little bedding. You're going to see, you can see the cocoon, another cocoon right there. These guys reproduce like, geez, I know they don't have time to do anything but that, I guess. When all you do is eat, sleep, and reproduce, I guess that's pretty high on the list of things to get done for the day. Yeah, that little guy there on my finger, he's relatively young. I guess they're its. So you're not going to see bedding in here because I'm needing this for some of my fall plants. And those worms there are very young. You can just see all the cocoons. They're plentiful. The castings actually smell like cucumbers. I must have dug into a cucumber that wasn't fully finished off, because I could smell cucumber very strongly. It's just a little piece of, oh, it's banana peel, of course. Doesn't explain the cucumber smell. And I mean, this pile of worms right here, you can kind of see most of them are young. And you can also see more cocoons. None of these. This is, right here, this is 10 times the amount I started with in June. And you can tell 90% of them are juveniles. You can tell how small they are, and they don't have any band at all. I mean, look at all these juveniles. It's insane. They're on the back of my hands. They're crawling between my fingers. See, there's the banana. That's their big treat in here right now. But oh my gosh, have these worms multiplied. I was so disappointed with the purchase I got. One mistake I made when I initially got these, I put them into an urban worm bag. And, well, it seemed like the right place to put them, because I was told they're very flighty. So I thought, well, what's more secure than a zipped up urban worm bag? They turned out not to be flighty at all. But the problem is, Indian blue worms are not like red wigglers. They're not deep feeders. They're the opposite. They're not top feeders. They're deep feeders. So since the urban worm bag gets harvested from the bottom, and these worms prefer to be at the bottom, I would have to harvest the bag from the top, which completely defeats the zip-off bottom of the urban worm bag that allows you to harvest from the bottom. So I moved them into just a Rubbermaid bin once I got all the mites gone. You won't find any mites at all. You may find some springtails that I actually added. You won't find any mites. I added a bunch of cardboard and eliminated all the mites. So yeah, they'll thrive in an urban worm bag, but I can't harvest it from the bottom if these worms are living at the bottom. So I swapped it out. And now the urban worm bag is a catch-all for many types of worms, and these ones are living in here. It's very strange because it smells so strongly of cucumber, but all I see is a banana. And gosh, there's so many juveniles. I guess these sprouts will be their next feeding because they're pretty much done in here. I need the bedding, need the castings. That is part of a banana peel, but it's almost micro thin. Got worms? Yep, and I'm glad. So it'll be my first time harvesting castings from Indian blue worms. Not that that's any spectacular event, but it'll be their first time having new bedding introduced as well. Oh, a whole bunch of new. They've been having bedding added with each feeding up until about 3 weeks ago. I stopped adding bedding because I knew I needed to harvest the bin. So I was letting them finish it off and just gave them a banana to tie them over. More cocoons, of course. And these worms have just been amazing. Anybody who was afraid of getting into the Indian blue worms for anything you may have heard, such as me, that they're a huge flight risk, I've never had one get out. No, I had one get out, actually, and I added it to the urban worm bag. I think it was that. I wasn't positive what kind of worm it was, and I didn't want to risk putting a different kind of worm in here, so I threw it in the urban worm bag because I want to keep these pure as I plan to commercially reproduce them once my population gets enough, which is not going to take very long at all. I mean, even though their banana is pretty much their only food source right now, there's really nothing else in here, you can still see worms through the entire bed. You can see an adult there, nice healthy adult with the band, but the juveniles are just impressive. Cocoons and juveniles. And this is not something that happened when I stopped adding bedding. They have been very prolific breeders right from the moment I got them. I mean, I don't think I had them 3 days and I was finding cocoons in here. Well, in the urban worm bag at the time. So, all right, that's all. I don't want to just go on and on. I just wanted to show you them and show you what the castings look like. Just give you some confidence that if you were afraid of raising these out of fear that they would be a flight risk, I don't know what I'm doing right or what anyone else may be doing wrong, but they don't try to get out ever. And they eat like I've never seen a worm eat. They reproduce extremely rapidly. And they're pretty darn pretty, aren't they? Oh, turn over on your good side. Yeah, they're darker on one side than the other. But the juveniles are lighter color. The juveniles are almost fluorescent in color. I mean, they almost look bright. Again, another cocoon. I can't do anything in here without cocoons. So that's it, guys. So you got to see little, well, I don't know if you saw Sally or if you saw Mander. The other one, unfortunately, I think may have taken a left turn at Albuquerque. All right, who can remember what that's from? Took a left turn at Albuquerque. Go ahead and leave a message below in the comments area. I'm not the only one that saw cartoons from that era. I just gave something away. So I'm going to just fluff these guys back up, put little salamander back in its little mango hut, fill its water bowl back up, and then the last bin I want to peek at today is the African night crawlers. Since we just finished looking through the Indian blue worm tub, I want to show you what I've done. This is pumpkin. This piece, and this piece, and this piece. And on top of it, I put a little bit of coffee and a good sprinkling of crushed or powdered oyster shells. And now on top of it, I'm going to put a bunch of shredded corrugated cardboard, and I guess in about 3 days, I'll do a follow-up and show you how many of the worms migrated down to this side. So I'm going to start to cover it, and we will check back.